It's the karmic momentum
Yeah.
of your life is what shows up in this moment to confront
Yes.
the terrors of non-existence.
Yes.
We're talking about the legalization of psilocybin in the state of Oregon, starting January. That is so mind-blowing. That is such a turn of events. It's been 50 years coming. And you know, what I'm seeing is some people in our school freak out about it because they're still in the Nixon propaganda brainwashing of what psychedelics are. Like, once hippies started taking LSD, it got categorized with heroin as part of Nixon's breaking of the counterculture by destroying the popular base of psychedelics and marijuana. And so we've been living with that. And now, 50 years later, it's finally lifted. Not 50 years, more than 50 years. But for me personally, when I woke up with LSD in January 19th, 1972, it's been 50 years. From that moment to this, and from that moment to this, my mission in life was to pass on what I realized. Just giving people LSD didn't work because they didn't have the same circumstances and the same mindset that I had in that moment. And my mission was to pass it on. But how? I didn't know. I mean, so giving people LSD didn't work. So then I did group ceremonies with LSD in a kiva in Morningstar Commune in Taos, New Mexico, out on a mesa. But it didn't work. People didn't wake up because they didn't have the same mindset and circumstances to actually face it. But when the National Guard showed up, and we're going to go fight the National Guard, I took mescaline, and that was a big mistake. The sidewalks were waving in purple, you know, and it's like, oh, thank God the National Guard didn't show up that night. And so I had to learn, you know, I learned along the way what works and what doesn't work. I've had lots of things that didn't work.
So, set and setting.
Set and setting. Yeah. And this is what Tim Leary first said. In the said that the LSD experience and when he was doing it, you had to have the proper set and the proper setting. And I never knew which was which. Like, is set your mindset and the setting is where you show up? Or is set the stage and the setting is the actor who shows up to play the part? So it really can work either way, but you have to have both. If you have proper set and proper setting, which means proper circumstances and proper intention, then it's great benefit. And, you know, most people use it for pleasure things, but also it gets used therapeutically on a huge array of successful interventions, from alcoholism and drug addiction to bereavement and end of life is so powerful, and there's so many useful medicinal healing properties. It can heal you emotionally, it can heal you of your traumas, it can heal you of your psychic distress. But that's a different level than waking up, and all three are appropriate. And that's what I think is important to address to our community, is that you can't have all three levels unless you're that deep yourself. Because you can't take someone deeper than you are. And that's why it's very appropriate that most psychedelic therapy, that the therapist really is invisible, an invisible support. It's beautiful, it's important. But where the depth comes in is before the session and after the session. During the session, it could, if you're, you know, that depends, again, on who shows up and how they represent it. So generally you don't say anything, but if they're asking you a question or they have a reaction or there's something going on that needs your attention, that's where you have the full skillful means and the depth of realization to meet what's arising, whatever it might be.
Yeah, so that, in my case, the one time I took LSD, I was 27, and what met me was nature.
Yes.
So I was with a group of people, and I was just like, ooh, fun, we're going to take acid.
Yes.
And I was in Yosemite, and I was met by profound beauty
Yes.
and of the natural world, and
Yes.
it woke me up. And then it stayed with me. It didn't change. That didn't change. It didn't go away.
Yes.
But it was, well, actually, it was 4 years later I met Gangaji.
Yes.
My life started to come apart
Yes.
because it wasn't working. It
Yes.
didn't work
Yes.
anymore. I couldn't be asleep anymore in the
Yes.
same way.
That's it.
So it was just by grace that I got to meet Gangaji at that time, you know. But so we, as the Leela therapist, as the therapist or the sitter, or whatever word we use for the one who was there, I agree to actually to not interfere. And then we have the before and the after, where there's the Leela therapist who can be a true friend for the integration, the preparation and the integration.
Yes.
Which, yeah, I didn't have.
Yes.
And you didn't have. And your friend, your guys in your circle in the Kiva, you know,
Right.
they didn't have the set, which is you said mindset.
That's
your
right.
mindset when you were in that cabin in Colorado was,
Right.
I'm ready to die.
That's right.
But if we don't know that's what's needed,
That's
we
right.
can't pass that on. I saw through a person's skin as she was touching the tree. I saw her whole body and the tree just, they became the same.
They are the same.
The pulsating of,
Yes.
it wasn't necessarily the heartbeat, it was just,
No, pulsating of life.
it was so stunning. I can still see it.
Yes.
I can still see it
Yes.
to this day. And I hear that, you know, there's much that is forgotten after a powerful
Yes.
psychedelic trip, and that it's
Yes.
really wonderful to have a sitter who's there actually taking notes, and also to encourage you to write everything down afterwards, and then the integration sessions afterwards, to
That's one way of doing
not to
it.
conceptualize it, but to actually to,
That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is direct introspection in the moment without notes, so that you know what you know. You never took notes about falling in love with nature.
I was already in love with nature, but
That's it.
I didn't know I was the same thing
That's
as
right.
nature.
And once you knew it, you knew it.
No, exactly.
And there was no doubt, and there is no
Yeah.
doubt. So note taking not necessary in that case. So it depends on the
Yeah.
set and setting of the
Setting.
person and what they want and
Yeah.
their level of depth and the level of strength of the. See, it's
Yeah.
called it's set, setting, and dosage.
Mm.
'Cause
Yes.
if the dosage isn't right, also you're not going to have the.
Yeah.
Dosage has to match the intention of the person.
Yeah.
And so there's the microdosing works for people for ego strengthening,
Yeah.
and a full trip can work for, whatever, different levels depending on what they want and
Yeah.
how deep you are. In the 80s, when I first started, hypnosis was something that was a stage act. You would never seriously call yourself a hypnotist or a hypnotherapist. If you were a therapist of any degree, you do not call yourself anything to do with hypnosis.
Yeah.
And then, 83, I think, or 84, the BBC did this documentary about hypnosis. And it showed how it worked, and it showed people in altered states, and it showed the full range of possible
Yeah.
healing and phenomena.
Yeah. Profound.
And that changed the world.
Yeah.
And after that, Stanford started involving itself. And once Stanford University had a hypnosis involved in their thing, that was part of the explosion. And so now, everybody's doing hypnosis. Every medical center or teaching hospital, they all know hypnosis. They all use it to different degrees.
Yeah, I used it with my surgery. And so this is happening now with the psychedelics too.
Exactly. That's
the
it.
same
This is
thing.
the next wave.
Michael Pollan's thing, and
The next wave. Michael Pollan's thing.
there's also a study through the BBC as well.
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah.
There's endless. But they start with one and then it cascades.
Yeah,
So right now we're in the cascading.
yeah, it's exciting.
It's so exciting. Wow, Just like we were with hypnosis, where before it was happening, we were putting ourselves out there.
Yeah,
And so now it's
yeah. How perfect.
so incredible. So 50 years ago, 1972, I started my search for how to pass it on. And here it is, 50 years later, and we now can legally pass it on.
The vision is for everyone to wake up.
The vision is for the world to wake up and be free.
And this is what happened for you. You discovered that in that cabin in
When
Colorado.
I discovered in that cabin, I realized that everything is empty. And I am immortal consciousness before time and space. I am that. And I knew it I never had any teaching, I never had any gurus, I never had anything to describe what that was. I didn't even call it enlightenment. I didn't have that word. You know? I was just as I am.
Yes.
But that realization didn't stop the running of ego. Because in that realization, everything disappears. But when the ego reappears, I don't notice it as ego. It's still just me. So I am enlightened consciousness, as I know. And this is what's going on. And my ego is acting out, and I don't know the difference. And the Enneagram could bust me on that. I could say, okay, is this fixation? Is this lust running? Are you being right? Are you self-righteous? Are you being angry? Are you being judgmental? Are you being vengeful? Oh, all of that has to stop too.
Dang. God, beautiful.
And the
Beautiful.
bliss of when that finally is
Oh my
seen.
gosh. Oh my gosh. All we can do is live it.
That's it.
Because you can say it all you want, but
Yeah,
whatever's,
don't say it.
you know, whatever's unconscious is unconscious. You don't know
Exactly.
until it. So to live it,
Yes, be yourself.
it's so beautiful. So the different ways that psilocybin and psychedelics, let's just say psychedelics, are used. I came up with 4 different ways. There's probably, shamanism, fun, awakening, and healing. Those were
Yes.
and then one more, which I think was really interesting, is exploration of consciousness.
Right.
For it to focus on awakening,
Yes.
the shamanism can be included.
It is. Everything's included.
Yes, and we explore our consciousness, which is infinite. I mean, it's like there's so many. It's just unbelievable. It's just unending. But what I can see is that in the exploration of consciousness, there can be ego inflation because it's so profound what you discover.
Really important. Ego inflation will happen with the effect of the realization. Because suddenly you realize you are one with nature, and wow, all right. And there's a natural inflation that comes. And so that's why I think it's essential that your realization has to happen in this altered state and in the normal human condition. Otherwise, it will be inflated.
So this is where we as Leela therapists, as the Leela School, is incredible support. I mean, really, that's like,
Yes.
if you offer yourself, if you come to the school and you want to do this, you want to see about awakening through a psychedelic experience with a Leela practitioner, the support. I'm not trying to sell it or anything, but
It sounds a little like selling it, and it freaks me out a little bit.
No, I don't want to do that. That's not what I mean, but
I know what you mean, but the truth
because it's
is,
so profound.
there's support everywhere.
Sure.
It all depends
sure.
on your intention.
Yeah.
And if your intention is true and right, you will find the proper support, wherever that might be. It might be in a cave in
Certainly.
Tibet, or it might be who knows where. I had no support. I woke up alone by myself in a cabin where I was paranoid, freaked out, and being followed. So no support needed.
Yeah.
You know, it's really just about how you show up.
Yeah, and your life
Yes.
actually gives you the setting of how you show up.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. It's the karmic momentum
Yeah.
of your life is what shows up in this moment to confront
Yes.
the terrors of non-existence.
Yes. Beautiful. It's exciting.
And then if you see you're willing to go to non-existence, if that's what it takes, then
Yeah.
that's it. That's
Yeah.
your secret passageway through to
It is a
non-existence.
secret. It is. It really is. Because it isn't non-existence.
It is and it
isn't
isn't.
the concept of it.
Not the
Yeah.
concept, but in reality it is and it isn't.
Yes, it's everything, isn't it? Nothing and everything. Anyway,
That's right.
unspeakable majesty of
Yes.
ordinary being.
Yes. Great. Fun.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably enough.
I think so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eli.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here.